I suggest you listen to this video with headphones to best hear what I hear nearly every single day. I've related personal experience to demonstrate the issues of injustice and selective law enforcement many times in past videos. Watch my videos Equalism 107A, 109B, 110A, and 111A. In this video, that tradition will continue with more insanity I've experienced with my current landlord, CFY management, my neighbors, lawyers, and the cops. But first, we must review some legal definitions. Criminal harassment entails intentionally targeting someone else with behavior that is meant to alarm, annoy, torment, or terrorize them. Whoever willfully and maliciously engages in a knowing pattern of conduct or series of acts over a period of time directed at a specific person, which seriously alarms that person and would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress, shall be guilty of the crime of criminal harassment. Extortion is the obtaining of property from another, induced by wrongful use of actual or threatened force, violence, or fear, or under the color of official right. Fraud is a false representation of a matter of fact, whether by words or by conduct, by false or misleading allegations, or by concealment of what should have been disclosed, that deceives and is intended to deceive another, so that the individual will act upon it to their legal injury. For the last 17 months, the neighbors in the adjoining apartment and in the apartment above me have been seriously and maliciously attacking me with excessive noise nearly every single day. This has become like a tag team effort. When one stops, the other takes over, but occasionally they do it at the same time. This noise has occurred from 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. It's lasted anywhere between 15 minutes to 16 hours in one setting, or can occur sporadically throughout the day. The noise can exist of partying, music, screaming, yelling, loud talking and laughter, stomping, and banging around. The sound of what can only be described as throwing a bowling ball on the floor, my ceiling, isn't at all uncommon. Remember, this has been going on nearly every day for over 17 months. Here's a recent small sample for my upstairs neighbors. Wear headphones for this. These upstairs neighbors began making racket back in about October of 2016, and after much complaining to the apartment manager, I got them to stop at the end of December of that year. But they restarted in October 2017 and continue to this day. In February of 2017, the neighbors in the adjoining apartment moved in and immediately began bombarding me with noise that also still continues to this day. Just Wednesday, I finally got Rosa, the apartment manager's supervisor, to come and hear this music racket, which is common from these neighbors. Rosa stunned the hell out of me when she concluded this insanity was perfectly acceptable. Here's a short sample of that noise from that day. Use headphones here. Well, they just left and they were telling me this is not too loud. And Rosa had the nerve to say that insanity wasn't too loud. That was just a bold-faced lie. She told me my only solution to this problem was for me to move. And here's a major part of this problem. Leases protect the tenant's right to the peaceful enjoyment of their accommodations. This right is so important, it's listed 5 times in my lease. It took 3 months of complaining to get my upstairs neighbors to obey the lease. Then they started breaking the lease again last October. My adjoining neighbors began breaking the lease in February of 2017, the day they moved in. And other tenants have complained about them too. A lease is a legal document, a binding contract. It's the landlord's legal obligation to enforce that contract. My adjoining neighbors were given notice after notice to cease their racket. Once they ignored this warning, their repeated offenses became criminal harassment, not just disturbing the peace violations. I even called the sheriff's department twice. Both times the cops refused to do anything. The second one said he wouldn't enforce the law because he didn't like me. I demanded to be allowed to file criminal harassment charges, and they both violated my right to file criminal complaints of any kind. Management continually told me to call security, but I repeatedly told them security doesn't answer their phone. After more than 25 calls to security, they've answered their phone only twice. After 6 months of constant complaining and warnings issued, the apartment manager told me at the end of July these adjoining neighbors were given a 30-day notice to vacate. But oddly, she kept telling me they might fight it. I just brushed that off. Why would they fight it? They haven't any defense, and if they do fight it, you just evict them. After all, management had months of video evidence from me that I regularly shared with them. In fact, I have over 30 gigs of video evidence that prove my claims are real. So finally, at the end of July, I was told the order to vacate was issued. And sure enough, at the end of August, these lease breakers were still there. I never heard of such an absurdity. Someone with no defense fighting a vacate order? But the manager assured me the eviction process had begun. A week later, I asked when the court date was because I offered myself to be a witness. No court date had been set. About a week later, I asked again. By the end of the month, I'd asked several times. Still no court date. Over the several months that followed, I began asking, what's taking so long? These neighbors were still attacking me with their noise. I said, I know it doesn't take 2 weeks, much less several months, to file a simple eviction suit. Actually, it takes no more than a week to file the eviction papers and serve them to the defendant. But management kept assuring me the process was continuing, and she told me twice CFY management has stopped accepting rent payments from these lease breakers. After months of continued disturbances from these neighbors, after the vacate order was issued, and asking what's taking so long with the eviction and getting the same runaround, on December 6th of 2017, I was fed up, and I sent them an email calling them liars. They responded by issuing me a threat for accusing them of what turned out to be true. On Wednesday, March 21st, the day of that last video clip, Rosa admitted these persistent lease breakers were never being evicted, which means for the last 7 months, CFY management has been committing fraud and probable extortion against me. Here's a video from November 16th, 2017, where Anna, the apartment manager, committed fraud by telling me several times the eviction process was continuing. Use headphones if you can't hear it very well.
Well, you need to find out what's taking so long.
Well, I don't need to do anything but wait for them to let me know what's going on.
Well, not when it's still continuing. This has been going on for 9.5 months. We've been waiting for a court date for 2.5 months.
You're waiting for the court date.
You need to find out what's taking so long.
I'm not going to go out of my way and bother the lawyers. They have a job to do. When they contact me, I will let you know. I don't even have to let you know what's going on, Chad. It's not.
You do have to.
No, I don't, Chad.
Because it is concerning my complaint.
Okay, but I do not have to tell you. It's actually against the law for me to let you know anything that's going on with any tenant.
Not what it has to do with my complaint.
It's confidentiality. That is
not what it has to do with the taking.
I'm not going to let you know what's going on with the case itself. When there's a court date, I will ask if I can inform you of that. If I could, I will let you know. But that is all I know. I can't tell you anything.
So in other words, as far as you know, CFY isn't doing anything right now.
Yes, they are. They hired a lawyer that's in the process of evicting them.
It doesn't take 2.5 months to evict people.
That's something you're going to have to take up with CFY.
So you want me to call Rosa?
Yes, you can call Rosa. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. Rosa's going to tell you the same thing. The lawyers have been contacted. They're doing the eviction. That's it. We wait for the
It doesn't take 2.5 months to do it.
I don't know what else.
But you are telling me that the eviction is in process.
Yes, it's been in process.
For the past 7 months, CFY management has not only violated their own lease and contract, but they committed several acts of fraud and extortion for monetary gain. To avoid the expense of eviction, to keep collecting rent from tenants who persistently broke the lease to my detriment, and to keep me paying rent against my will. Every cent I paid in rent from their first lie was money obtained illegally. It was obtained from a violated and thus non-enforceable lease and contract. It was also an act of malice. I suffered horrible emotional stress and physical harm as a result of the completely avoidable and continuous abuses of these neighbors, and I informed CFY of this many times by email, but they obviously couldn't give a damn. Furthermore, CFY issued me a fraudulent legal document, threat, accusing me of making false accusations against them when the accusations were in fact true. One question I have is, why on earth are they protecting these lease breakers and attacking me instead? I think it's in retribution for my stopping them from committing welfare fraud, illegally using their tenants' welfare qualifications back in January 2017. See my video, Equalism 111A. You see, they've committed fraud twice now. Back in January 2017, they issued a demand that all their tenants sign releases allowing CFY to increase the value of their property through the welfare benefits of their tenants. This was welfare fraud. I've contacted over 12 lawyers concerning these crimes by CFY, and not one has returned my calls. I contacted the California Attorney General's office, who's completely ignored me. The county DA's office refused me my right to file criminal charges and told me these crimes are a landlord-tenant dispute, a civil matter, and they won't do a damn thing. This is the second time I've heard this crap from law enforcement. See my video, Equalism 110A. When did landlords receive immunity from the crimes they commit? I'm tired of not having my rights protected and the laws that do protect me being unenforced. This is a perfect example of what equalism identifies as a patronymic system. a broken down, non-functional system where the average citizen cannot expect any justice or protection from the predation of others. We need justice, equal justice, not more damned excuses. I know more about the law than any lawyer or any cop I ever met. The difference between me and them is I care, and lawyers and cops don't. I want the laws enforced equally, and lawyers and cops don't. I know there's nothing more dangerous to the ruling elite than an informed citizenry that knows their legal and human rights. Tell me, if our government refuses to protect us from people committing crimes against us, what are we supposed to do? What good is that government? That government has no reason to exist. Law enforcement has failed me personally on numerous occasions over the years. When are they going to start doing their jobs? I'm sick and tired of being abused by cops, lawyers, landlords, neighbors, doctors, and anyone else who wants to abuse me. Telling me I'm screwed because I'm poor and I'm on my own doesn't resolve the problem. I have a right to file criminal complaints and to honest and thorough investigations of those complaints. And since, in this case, I already have much of the evidence, an investigation is hardly even necessary. I've done their jobs for them, and all they can say is, "Go away?" That's not acceptable. It's inexcusable, and it's criminal. And that's what our society has become and always has been, a predonomic society. We need a revolution. Resist, refuse, revolt.